Welcome to Buckets, your daily NBA betting podcast presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'm Brandon Kravitz, joined by professional prop analyzer Kyle Murray. Just him and I tonight, and we have a full slate of NBA upon us, and it is looking fierce. We will give you our three best bets of the night: 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. But first, Kyle, what did we learn tonight in the NBA?
Yeah, well, one thing I learned is that these 11 p.m. games might be the death of me. I mean, from a perspective of trying to get like a decent run at projections up while still having like some semblance of projections for this 11 o'clock game, it's a little bit of a mess. So I kind of wish this Peacock schedule would get sorted out. But from an actual betting perspective, I learned a couple of good and bad things about maybe some process stuff. Unfortunately, last night I was on the Pacers. That did not end up all that great. I also was on an Andrew Nembhard under. I talked about this before we went live, but Nembhard had like 21 points in 20 minutes of on-court time, and the Pacers aren't even close to covering the spread. So kind of a bad game there for me on the Pacers side. But all things considered, the night will probably come out in a wash for me. Have a couple of props here in this 11 p.m. game. So hopefully we can get a solid night from guys like Jokic and Sabonis, and we get a Denver Nuggets cover here in this 11 p.m. game. And if that happens, then waiting until 11 p.m. will be all just fine, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm always so curious with these. You're much heavier into the prop world than I am. I think you're one of the heavier prop bettors of all of us on the Buckets team because you do your own projections and you dive in slowly every single day on every single team. I mean, you're a maniac. Do you cap yourself? Because when you are dining at the buffet of props, your menu is limitless.
Yeah.
Do you have a cap for yourself, or do you just simply go on, if I like the number and it fits, then I'm rolling with it?
Yeah, I mean, the way my model works is that it grades each prop individually. So if it hits a certain threshold of expected value, I'm likely going to bet it. But to your point, like, it does get to a situation where there can be a spot where my model is just looking to slam a team, right? Like tonight, it was the Toronto Raptors. It was super high on a lot of these props here, and it was obviously on the Raptors to cover the spread. They did cover the spread. It was all over Manuel Quickly, Brandon Ingram, and RJ Barrett. I bet RJ Barrett first, which was a downside. But then, I do end up sort of limiting myself by saying I don't want to be too overexposed. I ended up not betting Quickly. I didn't bet Brandon Ingram. So there are certain situations where I do sort of, ease off of what the model's telling me, even though, it could be saying all systems go for a certain spot. But, you still want to diversify yourself and not overexpose yourself to one situation or one scenario. So that's kind of what I keep in mind. But for the most part, especially on big slates like we'll talk about for this Wednesday slate, once a prop hits a certain threshold of expected value, I'm betting it. And sometimes, today I think I had 7 or 8 player props out there. So even on a shorter slate, so it can get pretty voluminous, I suppose. But yeah, nonetheless, it's all comes down to what the model says.
Yeah, and I think for the individuals listening out there, it's just it's an important thing. As I've gone through my sports betting journey, I have learned my own personal limits. How much risk am I willing to put out there? I don't like to say how much am I willing to lose because I don't want to enter the night with that sort of mentality. Yeah. But how much risk am I willing to put out there? I think it's an important thing for people to think about, especially the menu has never been more expansive than it is right now. And we'll talk about some of the things that we have here. It's just it's an important ceiling. Like, you don't want to cap yourself in terms of your profitability, but I do think you have to be realistic of what a night could potentially look like, because they're not all going to be great.
Yeah.
And a night like tonight that we're talking about, where we have what we're looking at 12 games and we've got some pretty good matchups here too. So we'll dig into all of that. I bet the Sixers tonight or last night because Joel Embiid was out, and it paid off. And it's not the first time this season that I've done that. They're now 5-0. The Sixers are against the spread with Joel Embiid out of the lineup. If you time this right, and really it just comes down to waiting until the Embiid is out news. It's not anything. It's not like some magical formula. But if you like Philadelphia already, and you're wondering if Joel Embiid is not going to play, wait until the news drops that he's out. The line will move in your favor, and then the team actually plays better with him off of the court. And This is not an opinion anymore. This is the 5-0 against the spread when Embiid's out of the lineup. Edgecombe, Maxey, Oubre's been killing it. It's a speed shooting team that is really difficult to defend. And Kyle, they just simply play different when they don't have Grandpa out there taking up all this space. And he's still good, but they just play so different with him out of the lineup.
Yeah, definitely. I wish we could go back and see the peak Embiid and what this team could potentially be with all of these guys at their peak. I mean, they still have another Grandpa and Paul George waiting in the wings there as well. They have a lot of talent, but I think it's sort of the ebbs and flows of the injuries that they just cannot get timed up. But yeah, they are a completely different team. They're not going to be shy to get out there and run, and especially being led by a guy like Tyrese Maxey, where that's his thing, get the ball and go. So they certainly are a different beast there without Embiid. But I also am hoping that we get at least a semblance of somewhat full strength Embiid, because he is fun to watch when he's not hurt or flopping, to be fair. But it certainly was an interesting spot in the market. The Embiid news a little bit less, I guess, predictable for this one, because it was like a kind of a random string of news on the other knee for this one. So we'll see how that shakes out in the future news dumps, I suppose.
And the market has to react to it because he's such a good player and he's worth roughly 4 points to the spread. I'll let Fiddle give us the latest breakdown on that the next time that he's on buckets, but still you have to react. The market has to react to that. And I think it's a good opportunity to get in on the other side. Also, I don't know how many more times, I haven't looked at the schedule, that they play the Boston Celtics, but those games have all come down to a bucket. So keep that in mind going forward. We'll hop into our best bets for the Wednesday slate momentarily. It's a good one, but first, an important message from the mayor of Buckets, Matt Moore.
The Buckets podcast is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. And in partnership with DraftKings, Buckets listeners get a great offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, and 3 months of NBA League Pass. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. To get started, use promo code BUCKETSNBA when signing up with DraftKings. That's code BUCKETSNBA when signing up with DraftKings for 3 months of NBA League Pass and $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours.
All righty, let's dig in. Our best bets: 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. Kyle, what are we looking at? 3-star bet for the Wednesday slate.
Yeah, first spot I'm going to is obviously a slam dunk matchup here for Alperen Şengün and anybody on the Houston Rockets there against Washington. I guess I'll poke the holes in this play to start, and that's the 17.5 point spread that we could easily see Şengün sidelined at the end of the third quarter. Only playing 28 to 31 minutes, or I suppose, in a real bad blowout. But nonetheless, this Washington team, I do think has a chance to cover a whopping 17.5 point spread, but I'm not necessarily banking on that. I've scaled Şengün's projection back to 32 minutes to account for some potential blowout risk. And despite that, have him projecting for over 35.5 PRA in this matchup. And it's just such a good matchup where I think even if he does only play 30 minutes, he has 25 point upside. He has 15 rebound upside in this elite matchup against a Washington team that is dead last in defensive efficiency and also just allowing a ton of potential rebound chances, the most in the NBA, to opposing bigs so far this season. So I think it's all systems go here for Şengün. I think this number will actually move up despite the potential, blowout scare in the market. I think we'll see this one close at 32.5. So I'll take the over now.
Yeah, I mean, he has just been so consistent, so comfortable with the semi-new lineup that they've got with Kevin Durant in there. He looks like he's primed and ready to just keep it rolling, and everybody puts up numbers against the Washington Wizards. Like, yeah, blowout potential, but he could get this done in a half. I know that's probably maybe a pie in the sky rocking chair sort of night for you after what you just dealt with Andrew Nembhard, but still, I like the look there. Washington is, look at what the Pistons just did to this team. Just absolutely wrecked them. And Washington, yes, you can blow out the Wizards, but they've got some dudes that can score.
Yeah.
So, if they build a 20-point lead early, the Rockets do, you can't bench the guys yet. You know, like if you're in the early in the third quarter and it's a 20-point lead, you still kind of have to manage the rotation in a similar way because those guys can get buckets as well. My 3-star play, Paolo Banchero over 23.5 points scored. I don't want to come on here and just be the guy that just hands out magic plays. I bet the entire league almost every night, and nobody wants to listen to a homer give out plays night after night. I get that, and I respect that. But Kyle, I've had this one in the chamber since the season started. And why? Because Paolo has had it circled. He told us at Media Day that there was one game on the schedule, the entire calendar, that he actually circled. I don't know if he physically owns a calendar, but just at least mentally circled it. It was the Knicks at MSG on ESPN. It's his 23rd birthday. In a long 82 game grind, we look for these extra spurts of motivation where we can get it. If we, as analysts, can find those little things like a guy going back to his hometown and these things where we can bet into that, where the number stays stagnant, but we know that it means more to that individual. Tonight is that night. And I think sometimes we can force those scenarios. This one is not forced. I've had this written down since the season started. I was so excited to be the host of Buckets tonight so that we could talk about this. He is going off at MSG. The numbers fine where it's at, and the team is going to back him in that endeavor as well. Nice little Christmas or nice little birthday present. Blow out the candles, hit the over for Paolo Banchero. What do you think? What do the projections say? Bring me back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing all these narratives, and I always love when good, strong narratives clash with a good projection. I think that's kind of the optimal scenario. Everything you said, I think, is always good, especially for a superstar in the NBA. I am projected for 27 in this spot. This is the spot where the Knicks, I just bet on Jaren Jackson Jr. tonight. He did not make it easy, but he went over on his point total as well. Similar matchup here. The Knicks do have a good defense, but they play fast. So you should expect an uptick in terms of possessions. 3.5 point spread should see, max amount of minutes here for Paolo. So even in 35.5 minutes, I do think he has upside for 36, 37 if this game stays close. And that 35.5 minute projection item for 27. And it looks like there's a 22.5 out there at DraftKings. So you can even take advantage of that number as well. So all systems go for me on this Paolo number.
He's kind of one of those guys too, that when he wants to get to the cup and enforce the issue, he can. And up until the back end of the game on Monday night against the Portland Trailblazers, he's been knocking down his free throws too. So if he can get to the line, slow the game down a little bit that way, another way for him to hit the over there. I thought about taking an alt line, but this one just feels as close to a lock to me as I could get. So I'm just going to take the win and run. I feel really good about this thing. Things would have to really go sideways for him not to hit that number. What about a 2-star play for you?
Yeah, I'm going to go to a spread here. I'm looking at the Bucks minus 4.5. Looks like there's a 4.5 still available at DraftKings. And looks like that's the last 4.5 out in the market. Last night, I gave out Raptors minus 9.5, and it was the last one. And they barely covered. They won by 10 points. So I would recommend going and getting this 4.5 while you can, while it's still live. Obviously, when you're talking about injury report, that's the biggest thing that I've been looking at on betting spreads the night before. And, there are some question marks here. Giannis is questionable for this game. But on the other side, LaMelo Ball still out. Obviously, Brandon Miller is going to be out for a little while. Colin Sexton is probable, but it's worth noting that he was probable coming into last game and was ultimately ruled doubtful and then out. So, usually I count probable as like a 90% chance to play, but maybe it's a little bit less here with Colin Sexton considering what we just saw in the last game. But nonetheless, I still think obviously guys like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller are much more important to this team and the value on the spread than a guy like Colin Sexton. But when it comes down to it, obviously if Giannis plays, I feel great about this number. Even if you take him out of the equation, I still think that this team has a really good chance to cover. And I even, when removing Giannis from projections for a quick minute, still had Milwaukee covering here on this spread. We've seen Milwaukee play pretty well without Giannis in the one game against the Warriors when they went into that game without Giannis as a last-minute adjustment. They ended up actually beating the Warriors outright. I think they were either 8.5 or 9.5 point underdogs after the Giannis news, won that game outright against a Warriors team that was playing some pretty solid basketball back then. So obviously the confidence level would go down without Giannis. And I do think there's some concern because of the volatility in the market. We're seeing some 6.5s out there, 4.5s here. But at 4.5, I'll still take it regardless. And I do think Giannis does have a good chance to play here. So I'm going to take the Bucks minus 4.5.
I just had a vivid flashback to being on the Golden State Warriors pre the Giannis news coming out and thinking that I was the smartest guy on the planet. And then the Bucks won by 10. Does that make you want to bet Ryan Rollins props? Like, can you get ahead of that if you think that, okay, this is kind of a sleepy spot against Charlotte? Giannis was on the injury report before their last game against Cooper Flag and the Mavs. He wound up playing, but when we talk about knee issues in a game that the Bucks can probably win without him, is that a decent way to look as well for those that are nervous on the spread but want to find a different way to back the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly be the best way to hedge it. We probably won't get lines on those guys until maybe midday tomorrow, if we even really get them at all. I think if we don't see any lines on those guys by 2 or 3 p.m., probably some reason to have some concern about Giannis potentially just straight up missing this game. It is worth noting that they also play the same Charlotte team on Friday. I believe that's an NBA Cup game. So maybe there's an added risk of him sitting because of that, ulterior motive. Again, it's not something I'm overly concerned about, but I will say if we do get lines on a guy like Ryan Rollins or even Cole Anthony, Kyle Kuzma, betting those guys rather than betting on Charlotte, I think could also be a great way to hedge this Milwaukee spread, just because of the fact that you get some upside and you also have more chance, I guess, a better middle than or a better hedge opportunity than just middling this one. So Milwaukee, I think that would be the way I would look to potentially buy out of a Milwaukee spread if you do end up being worried about it. But again, you mentioned it. Giannis was questionable before last game. He did end up playing. I think he ends up playing this one as well.
Con Knippel's balling right now too. The Hornets have dropped 3 straight, but that we don't expect them to be very good. I wonder what number we could get the Knippel triple double at. So see if he can try his hand at that again. 2-star play for me, Cavs Heat under 238.5. Very interested to get your perspective on this one. These two teams played an epic overtime game 2 nights ago. By the way, I'm going to pause for a second. That Monday night slate was insane in the NBA. That might have been one of the greatest nights of NBA I've seen. I mean, I don't have the memory of a squirrel, so I don't even know what to compare it to. But just as far as regular season nights go, that is as good as it gets, and that was part of it. Were you able to sit back and enjoy that on Monday?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we even I was on Buckets last night, so I got to come on here and maybe throw a little bit of a jab at the NFL crowd. Who, again, big NFL fan myself, but there's so many NFL fans who like to say, "Oh, the NBA product isn't as good." SGA is always going to the line. All these blowouts. The National Blowout Association. It was a bad night for that crowd last night because the Monday night game was absolutely abysmal. People with YouTube TV couldn't even watch it, and we had 5 or 6 amazing NBA games last night. So yeah, it was phenomenal.
I was in the building for the Desmond Bain fadeaway 3. It was absolute mayhem, and then to see that around the league that was just happening, city to city, it was a really cool night. It was a fireworks display, and you're right, a great night for the NBA. NFL taking a big L along with the Green Bay Packers. So I'm on the under 238.5 Cavs Heat. We saw this line ahead of the last game. It opened at 238. It got steamed up to 248.5 before tip off. Then the over hit, 270 points on the board between these two teams. Then this game opens right where the last one closed at 248. And it has already been bet down to the original line of 238.5. So a lot of movement here. Why did this happen? Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley being out has a ton to do with it. It also follows a trend that I've been tracking. This second game of a 2-game set, typically the under cashes. I don't have a lot of data on this, so I don't have good numbers to back this up. So for right now, it's more theoretical than anything else, but it makes sense. You have 2 teams that know each other better They're familiar with tendencies. They're familiar with plays. They can actually kind of act as, speaking of the NFL, act like an NFL team, look and go, okay, we just played this team. Let's watch the identical film from last night and see what we need to correct. It gets a little bit dicey with all of the guys that are out because of anything that would resemble a projection. Who the hell knows? But this game could get ugly. So between familiarity and some bad offense with the best offensive players on the Cavs being out, the under at 238.5 to me feels like a good bet on the night. How do you look at this game and bet into it at all? To me, this is the only playable angle, but I think it's one that I look for on the second game of a 2-game set, especially when you have one with such a bloated over. People are going to try and chase that. I want to go in the other direction here and contrarian play this, but there's a lot of unknown here.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, this game reminds me of March or April NBA, where you have so many guys out to where, the NBA, it's arguably the most efficient player prop market in the world. I mean, maybe you can argue NFL's in there, like when you get to Saturday and Sunday, the player props are so efficient. But in the NBA, when the numbers do get inefficient, it's when these scenarios occur. I mean, this is when there's so much volatility, and this is where, in my opinion, you have the best chance to beat the books on these player props. So that's what I would be looking into here. I think betting the under is also an interesting topic as well, because you're taking out, if you had these two teams set aside, you even look at their game from the other night. I know Bam missed that game as well, but 5 or 6 of the best players from this game are out. You should expect maybe some defensive, efficiency to falter as well, but the shot making is just not going to be there. So, I think that this is a great angle for sure, and it's one that's looking good for me as well, especially on the Cleveland side. I do think there's a couple of guys I'll probably have some interest in betting, but as of right now, I mean, this team is just not going to project as quite the offensive powerhouse as they would with Garland, Mitchell, Mobley. So, I think it's a good spot.
Obviously, the worry is it turns into a slop fest, or you have two teams that are just running back and forth and no one actually cares, and it's like a G League game. Yeah. But that's where I need Eric Spoelstra to come through, because a game where he is involved as a coach should be a little more buttoned up than that. Kenny Atkinson, not too bad at what he does, so I'm hoping the coaches can rein these guys in just a little bit. As far as a 1-star play, I started doing this a couple of episodes ago. 1-star plays for me moving forward are going to be 2-1 or better. I'm going to try and cash in a quarter unit to bank a decent profit. Nothing crazy, but I'm going Lakers money line plus 215 against OKC. Thunder second night of a back-to-back. Last 7 games, there's only 4 teams in the NBA who have been as good as OKC record-wise. The Lakers are one of them, and Luka has been the Thunder antidote for his whole career. We'll throw a sprinkle on them to win straight up. Lake Show dub plus 215. What about you? 1-star play.
Yeah, real quick on the OKC play, I like that one. Currently not projecting Chet Holmgren to play. He's yet to play on a back-to-back so far this season, so that would take some of that punch away from the OKC side. So I like that call. For me, though, I'm looking at the Spurs minus 5.5. Kind of a similar ordeal here. The Warriors are coming off of a spot where they just got absolutely roundhouse kicked tonight against the Thunder. They lost by 24. Steph Curry returned, but only played 20 minutes. Jimmy Butler only played 22. So a little bit of my theory of maybe seeing Steph sit on this back-to-back because he's been out for 3 games. It's probably going to go away. He's probably going to be fine to go since he only played 20 minutes. Draymond Green already sounded like he's going to be questionable. He got banged up a couple nights ago. Steve Kerr said he was going to play in this one, and then his status would be up in the air for the Wednesday night game. Again, he probably has a better chance to play now that he only played 22 minutes in this game against the Thunder. But nonetheless, I think the Spurs are just a really, really good team right now. I think they are only going to get better as they get more acclimated with De'Aaron Fox playing alongside this group. My model has them as the 3rd best team from a net rating perspective so far this season. And again, a lot of that can be small sample and pretty noisy at times, but nonetheless, it's still certainly intriguing to see. And they also have maybe I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but maybe the best player in the world right now with Victor Wembanyama. That guy is unreal. What he was doing in that last game it's just not fair what he's able to do on the basketball floor. So I like the Spurs here -5.5.
Yeah, taking guys off the dribble 7-4. We and
It's not fair.
Step back threes, 2 in the final minute, just insane stuff. And then what he's doing on the defensive end too. I am like a moth to the flame when it comes to Victor Wembanyama props because he's just so much fun to bet. But are all of them just priced to the gills? So we're like, you can't find real value on Wemby because he's such a popular player to bet.
Yeah, the category, or I guess the market that my model has liked the most from a value perspective is blocks prop, because I just feel like we typically don't see too much of a skyrocket in pricing on some of these block shots prop. It is a very volatile market though, so that's probably also the reason why we get that. But yeah, for the most part, it is a spot where you're paying the premium for any Wemby props. I've given out one Wemby prop so far this season. It was an under on the same night that you took the Wemby over on his points and rebounds, and that was
We both hit.
Night. Yeah, we both hit. So
Yeah.
The under on the points came through, but he had like 17 or 18 rebounds. So you're over on the points and rebounds cash. So yeah, that was an awesome night. But yeah, it is definitely a spot where the market is certainly making you pay a premium if you want to bet on Wemby's overs.
Yeah, I need to figure out where he's still so new to us as a star. It's like Jokic. It's not like his props are priced like crazy too. He hits them. You just have to find the right spots for it, the right matchups, the right situations. And I haven't figured out what that is yet for Victor Wembanyama because he's so unique. I'm going to do some more discovery on that and before I just dive into Wemby props every 5 minutes. Don't forget to sign up for Action Pro. Get real-time pick alerts from experts like Brandon Anderson, Joe Dolera, this guy right here, Kyle Murray, Matt Moore, our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro. Get $20 off of the annual price with promo code BUCKETS20. Don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use the promo code BUCKETS20 to get $20 off for a year of Action Pro. We're going to get to our Shack Pack segment here in a moment. I want to answer a couple of questions in the chat before we go. We've got Gio says that I'll have Franz Wagner 25 plus PRA in a parlay somewhere. He cashed this 20 plus straight games. That doesn't sound right. 25 plus PRA and 20 straight. I would have to do some digging on that. That sounds extreme, but hey, listen, if you're betting it, it's working for you. Keep going to the well.
How many games did he say?
Says 25 plus PRA, 20 straight games.
He's hit that in the last 20 games, and he's in his last 30. He's hit it actually in the last 29 games. So from now 30 games ago was the last time he did not hit 25, which is an alt number, but 24 PRA on March 14th, 2015.
Yeah, because his number would be set more in that number's in the 30s. It would be like 36 probably.
Tomorrow he's actually at 30.5, so still a pretty low number, but the matchup mostly probably dictating that. And there has been some up and down with his scoring this year with Desmond Bane being part of the fold. But yeah, 25 plus PRA dating back to March 16th.
All right. Hey, keep it going. Free Sauce says Lakers money line tomorrow plus 215 best bet. That came in like 18 minutes before that was a 1-star play for me. So handshake on that. Free Sauce. We are aligned on the LA Lakers. What could go wrong? Every time I've faded, it was on OKC tonight, so I was able to profit on the Thunder. Every time I fade the Oklahoma City Thunder, I lose. So buyer beware on that. Minimize the unit size. Mr. Wade says Wembanyama finally a player I feel like will put the GOAT argument to rest for a while. There's a hot take for buckets. He does have the opportunity.
Yeah, it's every opportunity in the world. I mean, I think he's certainly the most unique talent we've seen in the NBA ever. I do think he has like the career path of like Shohei Ohtani right now, where Ohtani came on the scene and people are like, oh wow, he's like really good, but is he better than Mike Trout when he was teammates with Mike Trout? I think Wemby's kind of in that tier right now where it's very clear the path that he can potentially take because he's just such a unique talent. And I don't think we're going to see many guys like that, at least in in recent times. So he certainly has a chance, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's all about staying healthy and perhaps getting a star next to him that can make sure that he's in the finals year after year after year. Whenever that does happen, though, it feels like it's going to be a freight train that's hard to stop. Like if they end up getting Giannis or something like that, I just book it in the finals. I don't think anybody could stop them. Before we get out of here, it is time for our Shack Pack segment presented by DraftKings. We're each going to nominate our favorite double-double on the Wednesday slate, and we'll parlay them together over on DraftKings. You already know where I'm going, Kyle. I'm big on P5 birthday boy double-double plus 219. He's got 5 double-doubles on the season. We know he's going to get there on points. It's just a matter of grabbing those boards. He does have a chance to get there on assists as well, but he's been a beast in rebounds. So most likely we get double-digit points, double-digit rebounds. Get me Paolo Banchero plus 219 for my double-double. What about you?
Yeah, I love that call. I'm going to Jaime Jaquez here in this spot. We talked a little bit about the potential G League atmosphere. You're on the under. I think that will help the rebound opportunities for Jaquez here, who's been seeing some nice minutes with no Bam Adebayo. And again, I do think the big thing is we can likely project he's going to get the points portion of this double-double, the majority of the time, right? 15.5 points prop. He's been over 14 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games. So expecting that to be fairly easy. The rebound side of things is where you're going to kind of need some luck here, but 12 plus rebounds in back-to-back games. And now with, a potential G League looking roster here for the Cleveland side, maybe more rebound chances. So I'm going to take Jaime Jaquez at about plus 280 there for the double-double.
Paolo Banchero plus 219. Jaime Jaquez, who is heating up in Miami, plus 277. The DK double-double parlay 11-1 before the boost. That right there is your Shack Pack double-double parlay segment presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks to Kyle Murray. Great stuff tonight. Thanks to our producer, David Payne, to all of you for chiming in the comments section. If you want to tail these bets, look for the quick slip links in the podcast and video description, or head to actionnetwork.com/bet now. Shout out to DraftKings. We'll see you next time. And until then, you know what to do. Let's get buckets.